All right, I think I am actually live. We'll see how my country bumpkin internet holds up here. The Hoops crew says they're here for it. We love that you're here for it, Hoops crew. So yes, my name's Jake. If you don't know, this is the YouTube channel that I host my podcast on. Normally dealing with a lot of sports, covering the cycling, cover a little bit of the American football, and have in the past covered the biathlon. So I have been grumbling about the Channel 9 slash Stan coverage of the biathlon this Winter Olympics. I found it very difficult to watch, and I grumbled about it so often that my wife said, "Well, why don't you, why don't you have a go on your YouTube channel?" So we're having a go. My credentials are that I've been watching the sport for 4 years. I absolutely love it. And yeah, we'll just try and give you something a little bit different. And yes, of course, it'll be delayed and behind what you're probably watching on your TV screen because I have crap internet here. But yeah, hopefully you can enjoy it anyway. And we'll see how we go. We'll see how we get on. We'll see if the stream even lasts. So just to recap, what we're doing tonight, if you're not familiar with the format, the men's 12.5 kilometer pursuit is what we're racing this evening at the Winter Olympics. And the pursuit start times are essentially dictated by what happened in the men's 10-kilometer sprint. So normally in biathlon races and as in a lot of racing sports, either you all start out at the same time, which is what's called a mass start in the biathlon, or in a race like the 20-kilometer individual, you start at intervals. The sprint is a start at intervals, but the finishing places for that dictated the times that people start tonight. So to recap you, the men's 10-kilometer sprint from a couple of nights ago, it was more gold for the French team, who have been absolutely dominating on the skis, outside of the women's sprint, which was won by a Norwegian in Maren Kajeda. But this race, the men's 10-kilometer sprint, was won by Quentin Fillon-Maillet of France, who produced the race's second fastest ski time and shot a perfect 10 for 10 to set a time that Norwegians Vetle Sjostad Christensen and Sturla Holm Lagerud could not match. Christensen claims silver 2.2 seconds ahead of his teammate Lagerud in third. For more than a second, it looked as though it was going to be another Frenchman, Emilien Jacquelin, who might finish on the top step of the podium. He was shooting at a blistering speed in the range to top the fastest shooting charts for the race. But he only had a 6-second lead over his countryman, Fillon-Maillet, coming out of the range for the final time. And that was simply not enough. Jacquelin faded on the skis over the final lap to fall off the podium by an agonizing 0.2 seconds. That's how fine the margins are. Jacquelin provided awesome entertainment, but I'm sure he was shattered not to be able to add to his medal tally. Now, we had some other sort of heavy hitters that have had a rough time at the range. You had Johannes Dale Shevdal, who actually set the best time in the sprint, but he missed twice in the standing shoot to fall to sixth. Swedish biathlete Martin Ponsiluoma, he skied the third fastest time in the sprint, but missed once in the prone and once in the standing shoot to slide to seventh. And Ponsiluoma's Swedish teammate, Sebastian Samuelsson, well, he shot clean, 10 for 10, but his pace just never was quite there. So that's sort of unusual, I would have said, having watched Samuelsson the last 4 or so years in the World Cup circuit. Normally a fairly ferocious competitor on the skis. And I thought, geez, if he shoots clean 10 for 10, there's no chance that he's not on the podium. But as it was, he finished fifth. So we had Quentin Fillon-Maillet for France with the gold, Vetle Sjostad Christensen of Norway with the silver, and Sturla Holm Lagerud of Norway with the bronze. And that means we set things up for tonight. It'll be Quentin Fillon-Maillet to start first. Vetle Sjostad Christensen will start 14 seconds after him. Sturla Holm Lagerud will start 16 seconds after Fillon-Maillet at basically the same time that Emilien Jacquelin will start. Then 25 seconds after we've started this, it'll be Sebastian Samuelsson. 43 seconds after Fillon-Maillet is gone, it'll be Dale Shevdal. couple of seconds after him, Martin Ponsiluoma. About 11 seconds after him, Johan Olav Botten of Norway. Then we've got Eric Perot, Philip Horn, Ollie Hidden-Salo, Campbell Wright. And I'd say those first sort of 12 are going to be the competitors. And really, I'd probably be looking at that top five of Fionn Maillet, Christensen, Lygride, Jacqueline, Samuelson as being like the guys who, if one of them shoots clean or if a couple of them shoot clean, they're going to be right in it up to their eyeballs. Hoops Crew says, can you add to the commentary that there is a polar bear on the course somewhere, but we don't know exactly? Is that true? Is that true? Or is that something you're saying we should add to liven up proceedings, to chuck a polar bear out there? You have to clarify here for me, Hoops Crew. I don't know if you're being serious or not. So I'm excited to see this race. Quentin Fillon-Maillet's had a weird old Olympic campaign in some ways. The French won gold with the relay. Then I think it was in the individual. He missed like quite a few shots in the individual and just looked off at the range. But then he came out and was perfect in the sprint. So like Quentin Fillon-Maillet is a serious competitor. He's obviously highest level. So he's got to be a favorite with that little head start. But my guess would be that the competitors are going to be somewhat back together. I'm just having a look at that starting list and going, Fillon-Maillet, 14 seconds back to Christensen, a couple more seconds back to Lygride, a couple more seconds back to Jacqueline. I feel like those four might be together at the first visit to the range. Samuelson back in fifth. He's sort of taken a seemingly conservative approach to how he skis early in the race. You know, I think it's a deliberate thing. It's either that or he's, I don't know, maybe Hoops Crew saying, can we add a bear to the course to liven it up? I mean, it's been a weird old winter Olympics, hasn't it, Hoops Crew? We've had we've had penis injecting ski jumpers. We've had a Norwegian biathlete admit to a cheating scandal at the podium after he won bronze. Like, we've had a bit of everything. I don't know if we've had any more sort of controversies yet, but we've certainly had our fill across the first week. So yes, I think that we've certainly had our fair share of drama through the opening week here of the Winter Olympics. So yeah, I'm fascinated to see how this one unfolds. You know, I think the French have been so strong, particularly in the women's. The French women have been absolutely incredible, but Fillon-Maillet has sort of filled his boots. Eric Perot, he's a minute off the start time here, and he's probably been sort of just the man I thought who might have grabbed some gold. I mean, this is a guy who, you know, looks seriously promising on the World Cup circuit. He's been doing good things, and yeah, I've sort of been a little bit surprised that he hasn't snatched an individual gold medal yet here, but maybe today's the day. I'm hoping that we get some of these guys at the top end missing early so we can get a biggish group back together as the race sort of wears on. That's the hope anyway. You don't want one of these guys just to shoot clean and just be leading it by a length and never be challenged, or at least I don't. I don't know about you. Sound off in the comments too. What have you been enjoying watching at the Winter Olympics? I've pretty much only been able to catch biathlon and ice hockey so far. They've sort of been my two that I've stuck into. Haven't got to watch a lot. I watched a little bit of I'm trying to think what it's called. It's like the ice. Is it just ice skating? It's like this, you know, the dance stuff, the dance ice skating. don't actually know what. It might just be ice skating, decorative ice skating, synchronized ice skating. I'm not sure. To let you know too, with the pursuit format, which is going to start in about 4 minutes. The way this works in terms of the order of shooting, the athletes will shoot 4 times across this race. They will go prone, prone, stand, stand. So, yeah, prone, obviously lying down to shoot, standing, self-explanatory, standing to shoot. Targets much smaller in the prone shoot, much bigger in the standing shoot, because the degree of difficulty when you're standing is, I imagine, fairly extreme. I've never shot a biathlon rifle. I'm not going to pretend that I have, but 50 meters away from these tiny targets. I was trying to just jog my memory of what size a biathlon target is. I'm sure the range is 50 meters away from rifle to target. It is. And then the prone position, you shoot at 45 millimeter targets, and the standing shooting is 115 millimeters. So they're insane. They really are insane. They're some of my favorite athletes on the planet, biathletes. To be able to do the level of sort of lung busting skiing that these guys and gals do, and to then front up at the range and control the breath. I don't know. I find that uniquely impressive. It's a very unique skill set. We're seeing now on the footage here the athletes starting to come out to the starting lineup. Love, love, love the stadium in Antholz Anterselva here. It's just such a dramatic backdrop. It's like in this such a beautiful valley with woodland forests, snow-capped mountains. I think it would have to be up there as my favorite biathlon venue. Actually, I'm trying to rack my brain out of the whole World Cup circuit. I do like when they go to Kontiolahti in Finland sometimes, and invariably they're night races. I'm assuming, and pardon me if I'm ignorant, but I'm assuming it's something to do with the fact that they're there in winter, and it is their winter, so less daylight. If there's any Finnish people in the broadcast chat, please let me know. But yeah, I do like that. There is something cool about the nighttime, the dark sort of skiing when they do it in Finland. But yeah, Antholz is, I don't know, it's dramatic. It's a really dramatic setting. And it's got that great climb. They're sort of climbing, I think, geographically up and away from the main sort of stadium and shooting area, up and away. And then it sort of bends back in on itself, then swings around, and there's a few downhills. Like I love the sort of second half of the loop back to the stadium. I find that really entertaining, and there's been some great chases up there. Obviously, Johannes Thignesbø has done some amazing climbing efforts there, but also Johannes Dale Shevdal had one. I think it was in the 2024 season where he absolutely stormed up that climb. There's a time checkpoint at the top of that climb that I'm thinking of, and Johannes Dale Shevdal was absolutely steaming up there in the 2023 season. I'm almost certain it was the 2023 season. Oh, Jacko, who would you say are the three favorites here? Wow. I think you can't go past Quentin Fillon-Maillet. He was so good and measured in the sprint, shooting 10 for 10, putting forward. I think he was the second fastest on the skis. So he combined, good ski time with a good shoot. I like that. But, the problem with shooting 4 times as opposed to 2 is a lot more chance for things to go wrong. But Fillon-Maillet has to be up there. Sturla Lagride has been really consistent. And I'm going to say that maybe Eric Perrault from 9th. And he's a minute down on the starter, Fillon-Maillet. But I just think that maybe Eric Perrault has a special performance in him. And the race is underway here. Quentin Fillon-Maillet skis out. He will have a 14-second head start on Norwegian Vetle Sjostad Christensen and a 16-second lead on both Sturla Lagride and who was the other one there? Emilian Jacqueline. That's the guy I'm thinking of. So we've got 4 athletes out. We now jettison Sebastian Samuelsson out. He will be trying to chase them down from 25 seconds back. Next up will be Johannes Dale Shevdal of Norway. a man who's a burner on the skis, but extremely erratic at the range. This is the sort of guy, if he misses maybe only 2 shots, he could be right up to his neck in this. Martin Ponsiluoma is away for Sweden. Johan Olaf Botten will be gone soon for Norway, followed by Eric Perrault and Philip Horn of Germany. So we will soon have 10 athletes out on the course. Perrault is away, and Horn will certainly be after him. So we are off and running here. So they would be my top three. Quentin Fillon-Maillet, because he's out in front. He showed good form in the sprint. I think that you can't go past Sturla Lagride because of his consistency. Like, he is such a consistent marksman at the range. Like, not necessarily a guy I'm going to say is in the fastest 5 competitors in the event, but the consistency of his shooting across 4 shoots. If he shoots 19 of 20 or 20 of 20 today, it's going to put him in with a great chance. And then, I just think Eric Perrault, we've been missing a special performance from the young Frenchman. I'm going to chuck him in there as well. We're still releasing athletes out of the starting line, so no shooting has happened yet. We'll definitely let you know once we start at the range and anything that happens on the course as they scoot around. Just going through some of the other sort of maybe outside contenders. Campbell Wright, a New Zealander who has defected to race for Team USA. Campbell Wright's a guy who's fairly sort of talented and I feel like has really started to break out the last season or two. He's very good. If you look at his World Cup performance in 2025, 2026, 88% in the prone, 82% in the stand. His skiing time behind the fastest skiers on course, generally about 1.7 seconds per kilometer back. But, Campbell Wright's one that if something fell for him, he is someone who could maybe contend in a race like this. Quentin Fillon-Maillet, we're about to get the first time check here as they ski up my favorite slope away from the stadium. It's great. You can see the stadium in the background. They come up this slope. It looks like Christensen, Jacqueline, and Sturla Lagride will all be pretty much together. I think we're going to get a time check here shortly as they wind their way up here. Samuelson also in pursuit there. Still awaiting that time check. It might not be on this one. Might be thinking of a different little ascent there. But we are underway in the men's 12.5 kilometer pursuit. One of my favorite races, I think, because you've got the intrigue of people starting at different times, dictated on their performance, in a previous event, which is kind of cool. And sort of add some weight to the back end of the sprint race, when they're in the sprint and they might be thinking, well, I'm almost a bit of a slip there for Quentin Fillon-Maillet as he zooms around a corner there. Even if you're out of the sprint race, you are still thinking about, well, I've got to put together a decent time for the pursuit because I don't want to start too many seconds back here, in the race that's to come in a few days' time. So good crowds here, as you would expect, of course, being in Olympic Games. It's not like people aren't going to turn up. Quentin Fillon-Maillet scoots his way up an ascent. Oh, he's now got a Norwegian biathlete hot on his heels. That looks like it will be Vetle Sjostad Christensen. No. Looks like it's Emilien Jacqueline. That's what the graphic has here. It says Quentin Fillon-Maillet, then Emilien Jacqueline just 10 seconds back, and a few seconds back from him is Vetle Sjostad Christensen. So we are on the cusp of our first shoot, our first visit to the range here in the men's 12.5 kilometer pursuit. It will be prone. The athletes do prone, stand, stand. And Quentin Fillon-Maillet skis in. Bit of breeze, 1.4 miles per second, 1.1. Not huge breeze. Quentin Fillon-Maillet settles himself here as the pursuers come in next to him. His countryman, Emilien Jacqueline, takes up the mat right next to Fillon-Maillet. Then it's Vetle Sjostad Christensen and Sturla Lagride. Fillon-Maillet He's got a miss here. He went hit, miss, hit, hit, and his final shot is a hit. So it'll be one penalty loop for Fionn Maillet. It will be one penalty loop for Emilian Jacqueline. Believe we're going to have one penalty loop for Vetle Sjostad Christensen, unless that graphic is incorrect. No, it seems to be correct. One penalty loop for Sturla Holm Lagride. So all four of those men who led us in will do a penalty loop, and Sebastian Samuelsson, Martin Ponsiluoma, and Johannes Dale Shevdal are all at the range. Samuelsson's going to have to ski a penalty loop. Martin Ponsiluoma has gone 4 for 4. He's 5 from 5, and Martin Ponsiluoma will be out in pursuit. Dale Shevdal, the flying Norwegian, will have an extra penalty loop to ski. So the order of operations here sees Emilian Jacqueline out in front of, or Emilian Jacqueline is out in front of Kenton Fionn Maillet, who's ahead of Vetle Sjostad Christensen, who's ahead of Martin Ponsiluoma, who's ahead of Sturla Holm Lagride. So we've had a little bit of a shake-up. We'll have a slightly bigger group coming together here now. So we did get what we wanted. We did get some early misses at the range, because that adds to the drama. It adds to the spice, in my opinion. It means that no one is going to streak away with this early. If one of those leaders who came in, one of those first 4 or 5 athletes came in, shot clean and was away, they might have been able to build that sort of 30-second lead. There's an absolute glut of athletes now in. Most people missing at least one shot here. Very few going clean in this second group. Andrei Rastoguyev's, he's shot clean. He's one of the few, though. He's out. There's another French athlete here. Trying to make them out on the coverage is a little tough. Campbell Wright is out of the range, but he's still a minute and a half back. So we have a strong group out in front. Still, so look at my starting list here. We still have Kenton Fionn Maillet, Vetle Sjostad Christensen, Sturla Holm Lagride, Emilian Jacqueline. And then I think Martin Ponsiluoma has joined that front contingent. We're just seeing a replay of Emilian Jacqueline's shooting. Not too bad a start for him. One miss, he'll take it. Almost a... there was, as Eric Perrault, the 9th starting athlete, has dropped maybe a ski pole. No, what he's done is he's kicked a ski pole. He has accidentally kicked away, I believe, Johan Olav Botten, the Norwegian. He's accidentally kicked away the ski pole of the Norwegian as he's gone to leave the range. But everything seems all right now. Botten's got his ski pole back, and we are away and racing. They're about to come up my favorite little hill here. And it's Emilian Jacqueline leading out his countryman, Kenton Fionn Maillet. It's a strong climbing effort here from Jacqueline. This is the hill that he faded away on in the sprint race. We've got Kenton Fionn Maillet sitting right in the skis of Emilian Jacqueline as they reach the crest of this hill and turn to start making their way back down the loop. They are pursued by Vetle Sjostad Christensen a few seconds further back. Right in his ski trails is Martin Ponsiluoma, and then trying to make his way back to that front group. I would guess he's at least 10 seconds behind the trailers of that front group is Sturla Holm Lagride, and further back even still is Swedish biathlete Sebastian Samuelsson. So that's the state of the race at the minute. There's a group of 3 biathletes chasing after Samuelsson as well. We've got 2 Norwegians, which must be Johan Olav Botten and Johannes Dale Shevdal. And I'm thinking it's Eric Perrault there for France, with Philip Horn in the distance. So we've got 10 athletes out in front in various groups and arrangements. The leading pair are French duo Kenton Fionn Maillet and Emilian Jacqueline. Oh, exhausting so far. Hope you're enjoying the men's 12.5 kilometer pursuit. I certainly am. I love these drone shots they get. We're not actually getting a drone shot at the moment on the coverage, but I can see that little drone. And I'm like, why wouldn't you give us that drone shot right now? Because I absolutely love it. I love it in the cyclocross races. Love when they introduce it in the road cycling as well. So Quentin Fillon-Maillet and Emilien Jacquelin out in front as we begin making our way back towards the stadium. Behind them, I'm going to say, what is it? It's 8 seconds back to Christensen and Martin Ponsaloma, and then a further 10 seconds back to Sturla Holm-Lagride, who is 18 seconds behind the lead of Quentin Fillon-Maillet and Emilien Jacquelin. So the top 5 all within 20 seconds of each other. It's Fillon-Maillet, it's Jacquelin, it's Christensen. It is, who did I say there? Ponsaloma, and it is Sturla Holm-Lagride. The top 5 out in front at the minute. As we scoot on in to the second visit to the shooting range, this will be the second and final prone shoot. It'll be Quentin Fillon-Maillet to take position at the same time as Emilien Jacquelin. They go down almost in unison here. Getting their rifles set, everything hooked up and ready to go as Vetle Sjostad Christensen and Martin Ponsaloma take place beside them. Here we are. Emilien Jacquelin goes clean here. 5 for 5 for Emilien Jacquelin. That is brilliant for the Frenchman. Fillon-Maillet has already missed one shot. He looks to make it 4 of 5, but he won't. It is 2 penalty loops for Fillon-Maillet. Vetle Sjostad Christensen, the Norwegian, goes clean. Martin Ponsaloma for Sweden has 1 miss, so he will ski a penalty loop. And Sturla Holm-Lagride will do a bit of catch-up work here with a clean shoot. 5 from 5 for Sturla Holm-Lagride. And we have Emilien Jacquelin, 12.9 seconds in front of Vetle Sjostad Christensen, 23.5 seconds in front of Sturla Holm-Lagride, and the other competitors still waiting to come out of the shooting range and the penalty loop. Sebastian Samuelsson goes clean. Dale Dahl goes clean. Eric Perrault comes clean. Martin Ponsaloma is out of the penalty loop. He's 37.5 seconds back on Jacquelin's leading time. Sebastian Samuelsson, a further 9 seconds back on Ponsaloma. Dale Shevdal is 50.3 seconds behind the leading time of Emilien Jacquelin, which is about exactly the same gap that Eric Perrault trails his countryman by. Quentin Fillon-Maillet also comes out of the penalty loop in 8th position. His lead, remember, he started with a 13-second lead at the start of the day. He is now 54.2 seconds behind the best time. Lovely shooting there from Olli Hiddensalo of Finland. Goes clean, 5 of 5. Campbell Wright goes 5 of 5. Good work for the New Zealander / American. Justus Strelo of Germany is clean. Nicholas Hartweg goes clean. Tero Sapala of Finland goes clean. Rastaguyevs goes clean. There are a lot of clean shooters at the second visit to the range, but this group are a fair way back. So there's still not been a massive shake-up outside of Quentin Fillon-Maillet falling off the top. We still, apart from that, have a fairly familiar looking group of 5 at the front. So we get some nice slow-mo replays here. They absolutely amaze me, biathletes. Like the ability to do what they do on the skis. I love the duality of the sport. The fact that it is this almost primal, primitive cross-country sort of skiing where you're absolutely pushing your cardio to the limit. And then the complete opposite once you get to the shooting range. It's this sort of more cerebral, process-driven, sort of sophisticated element to the sport. And I think it's that I enjoy so much, because it would be one thing to have just the skiing or just the shooting. I think separately, they wouldn't sort of capture my imagination as much as this does. When you put the two together, it's just pretty incredible. As we watch Emilien Jacquelin battle his way up that hill, pursued by Vetle Sjostad Christensen. All right, we should be getting some time gaps here soon. Sturla Home Lagride comes up in third place. He is a considerable chunk of time back. Martin Ponsaloma behind Sturla Home Lagride, and then maybe 5 seconds back from him, a group of 3 athletes, which I'm going to guess it's Eric Perot, it's Johannes Dale Shevdal, and it is Sebastian Samuelsson. Further back from them, maybe again another 7 or 8 seconds back, is Canton Fion Maillet in pursuit. It's another great thing about these courses is that they loop around on themselves, and so you can look across and see your competitors. It's like, when you're in a road cycling race, winding up and around a mountain, and you can sort of, on those switchbacks, look back across your shoulder and see the state of the race. I do enjoy that about this course. So we're about to get another time check here as Emilien Jacquelin goes up another one of these short climbs here in the men's 12.5 kilometer pursuit. He goes through with this time check at 7 kilometers, 17 minutes and 2 seconds. The gap back to Vetle Sjostad Christensen of Norway is 12 seconds and counting. It's 15 seconds and counting. It is 16.5 seconds. Emilien Jacquelin has a 16.5 second lead back to Vetle Sjostad Christensen. He has a 25.1 second lead back to Sturla Holm Lagride. So we've got a Frenchman pursued by the 2 Norwegians just as we started the race. But the Frenchman now is not Quentin Fillon-Maillet leading the race. It is Emilien Jacquelin. Martin Ponsaloma is in 4th. I didn't see the time gap, but I'm guessing he must have been about 40 seconds behind. If Sturla Holm Lagride was 25 seconds, then I imagine that Ponsaloma would be roughly 10 to 15 seconds back behind Sturla. So Emilien Jacquelin, this is the first time we've seen a biathlete come into the range in this 12.5 kilometer men's pursuit race alone. He will start firing without any company. He goes 2 for 2, 3 for 3, 4 for 4, pauses on the 5th shot, but he nails it. And Emilien Jacquelin will coast out of the shooting range for the first stand, 5 for 5, and leading this race. His next closest competitors are Vetle Sjostad Christensen and Sturla Holm Lagride, who are shooting now. Christensen, he has missed his second shot. Sturla Holm Lagride looks to be going clean, but he throws his 5th and final shot wide of the target. Christensen and Lagride will each ski 1 penalty loop. Martin Ponsaloma is 4 of 4. He's now 5 of 5. And it looks like the Swede will be coming out of the shooting range for the 3rd time in 2nd place. Eric Perot, the young Frenchman, goes clean, 5 of 5. Sebastian Samuelsson will be skiing a penalty loop. Johannes Dale Shevdal will be skiing a penalty loop. Insanely quick shooting from Quentin Fillon-Maillet, who knocks his 5 targets down at a rate of knots. He goes 5 for 5 and tries to put himself back in contention for a podium position. He's a long way off gold at the moment, 56 seconds. So that looks out of reach, but there are still podium places to fight for. And let's face it, Emilien Jacquelin, not necessarily the world's most reliable man at the range. So he could still, like, we don't know. It's gonna be decided on this final shoot. Emilien Jacquelin has shot exceptionally well, particularly when you take into account the clean shooting in the sprint as well. So across the sprint race and now this men's pursuit, shooting very well, Jacquelin. He holds a 34.5 second lead over Martin Ponsaloma of Sweden, a 44 second lead over Eric Perot of France. He holds a 45 second lead over Sturla Holm Lagride of Norway. And slightly further back there is another Norwegian in Vetle Sjostad Christensen. So Emilien Jacquelin, as he skis around this loop, his nearest competitors well and truly out of sight. The race is in his hands, and really, the race is on his rifle. He can probably afford one penalty loop and to still come out of the range in the lead. He might be able, maybe two, he could still get in the running, but really, he's going to be aiming for probably 4 out of 5. I mean, obviously, he wants 5 out of 5. That goes without saying, but he's bought himself the luxury of probably a single miss here. It's Jacqueline, 33 seconds ahead of Martin Ponsaloma, 44 seconds ahead of Sturla Holm-Lagride, 45 seconds ahead of Vetle Sjostad Christensen and Eric Perrault. So that's as things stand at the moment, with Emilien Jacqueline rounding to his left to begin this climb up. I love this climb. It looks like the crowd is sliding back towards the mountain as the biathlete races past them. You've got those fantastic snow-capped mountains in the background. It is one of my favorite images in the whole biathlon world circuit. It really is. Emilien Jacqueline crests this hill and turns to start looping back down towards the stadium. Not a competitor in sight as he exits the frame here. Still holding that half-minute lead. It's going to come down to his rifle. Emilien Jacqueline has the race on his rifle as we enter the final shoot. Martin Ponsaloma is his closest rival as he charges up this climb. Back from him, Sturla Holm-Lagride, Vetle Sjostad Christensen, and Eric Perrault working as a trio to try and get back towards second place and a podium finish. Further back from them, still battling for position, is Quentin Fillon-Maillet, who came into this race in the lead. He came into this race with a 13-second advantage after winning the men's sprint. It was, I think, the third visit to the range where he threw multiple shots wide, and that is what has cost him this lead. Emilien Jacqueline, it's him, a buzzing drone over his left shoulder, and a whole lot of open snow ahead of him and behind of him. Behind of him. Speak English, Jake. Behind him. We're coming up for another time check here. It will be the 9.5 kilometers. And through 9.5 kilometers, Emilien Jacqueline of France is your leader with a time of 23 minutes, 17.3 seconds. It'll be Martin Ponsaloma of Sweden who skis through this time check next. We are 15 seconds and counting. The last time gap between these two athletes was 33 seconds. Where is it now as we head for the final shoot? 28 seconds and counting. Martin Ponsaloma crests this hill, 31.3 seconds. He's only managed to take 2 seconds off the lead of Emilien Jacqueline. The rifle of Emilien Jacqueline at this final shoot will decide who wins gold. If he goes clean, the top spot on the podium will be his. No one will catch him. And here he comes, the Frenchman. The swashbuckling Frenchman with the earring in his left ear. A great salute to cycling legend Marco Pantani. Emilien Jacqueline gets set to shoot for the final time with a gold medal on his rifle. First shot goes down. Second shot goes down. Third shot is high. Second shot, fourth shot misses. Fifth shot hits. Emilien Jacqueline will have to ski 2 penalty loops. 2 penalty loops. It looked so promising through the first 3 shots. He looked like he was in a good rhythm. And then that third and fourth shot going wide. Martin Ponsaloma of Sweden is in at the range. He knocks his first 2 targets down, first 3 targets down, 4 targets down. Can he knock the 5th? He has. It is 5 of 5 for Martin Ponsaloma of Sweden. Emilien Jacqueline is still on the penalty loop. Sturla Holm-Lagride is 4 of 4. He's 5 of 5. He will ski clear in second place His countrymen, Vetle Sjostad Christensen, will be skiing penalty loops. Fionn Maé will be skiing multiple penalty loops. And we're still waiting for the shooting of Johannes Dale Skjevdal and Sebastian Samuelsson, and they have both missed shots. So the state of play is this. Martin Ponsiluoma of Sweden out in front. He has a 14.6 second lead over Emilian Jacqueline and a 15.4 second lead over Sturla Holm Lagride. This is a Swedish gold medal if Martin Ponsiluoma can put his skis to good use. This is one of the best and fastest skiers on the world biathlon circuit. And I don't think Sturla Holm Lagride of Norway is going to catch him. He can race for the silver, though. That is what's there and available for Sturla Holm Lagride. Emilian Jacqueline, I absolutely feel gutted for him. Like, it was on his rifle, the gold medal on his rifle, and it's no easy thing to shoot clean in a situation like that, where you know you've got a half a minute gap. All you've got to do is probably knock down 4 of the 5 targets, and he knocked down 3 of the 5. And now it looks like he's going to have to settle for bronze. It is a cruel sport, biathlon. It's a beautiful sport, and it's a cruel sport. One of the cruelest, because you can go from ecstasy to agony so very, very quickly. And it's 2 races in a row really now for Emilian Jacqueline. He came out of the shooting range for the final time on the sprint race, 6 seconds up, thinking, I might have this, only to end up 16 seconds short of Quinton Fionn Maé's time. And now he goes into the range for the final time thinking, all I've got to do is shoot 4 of 5 and I've got the gold. And the silver is now gone. The time check shows Martin Ponsiluoma of Sweden 18 seconds ahead of Sturla Holm Lagride, who is 6 seconds ahead of Emilian Jacqueline, and that gap is building. Further back, we've got Frenchman Eric Perrault, 43 seconds off Martin Ponsiluoma's time. He is pursued closely by Vetle Sjostad Christensen. You would think those 2 athletes, well and truly not competing for the podium here. They will just be competing for placing. What a performance. We should give full credit and full praise here to Martin Ponsiluoma as he tears up this last massive climb. There is that other little hump closer to the shooting range, but this is the significant climb on the course. He is getting massive encouragement from one of his coaches as he rounds this bend. He'll drop down and start looping back in his run towards the stadium and the finish line and gold. Martin Ponsiluoma has shown so much, like he's the almost man so often on the World Cup circuit. This is a guy who has all the speed and talent in the world on the skis, has to be one of the fastest men in the world of biathlon. But so often it's just mishap at the shooting range that means he finishes in 3rd instead of 1st, or off the podium instead of on it. This is a brilliant performance for him. And I feel so good for him, as much as I feel awful for Emilian Jacqueline, who has seen a gold medal, alchemically changed to bronze at the end of his rifle. This is a great day for Martin Ponsiluoma, who deserves every bit of this gold medal. He's shot brilliantly. He has skied brilliantly. Let's look at where he started, Martin Ponsiluoma. He started 47 seconds back on some seriously talented biathletes. He was behind Quinton Fionn Maé, Vetle Sjostad Christensen, Sturla Holm Lagride, Emilian Jacqueline, Sebastian Samuelsson, Johannes Dale Skjevdal. There were other guys around Martin Ponsiluoma in the starting list. You know, Johan Olaf Botten, who won the men's individual not so long ago at these Winter Olympics. Eric Perrault of France, another brilliant competitor. All of these guys around him, and Martin Ponsiluoma has turned a 47-second gap to start this race into a gold medal. Absolutely brilliant performance from the Swedish biathlete. And Sturla Holm Lagride, he's going to grab silver. He's some 20 seconds behind Martin Ponsiluoma. Emilian Jacqueline, it will be bronze for the Frenchman. I just can't get over it. I really thought that he had that nailed. The confidence with which he knocked down those first couple of shots at the fourth shooting, I just thought he had it, and it's absolute heartache. It's the cruelty of this game. It's the cruelty of the sport. The margins are so very fine. Martin Ponsaloma, he is skiing the final flat. He will turn down to his right, go down this little hill, a little descent, and then streak home to the finish line. What a performance from one of the world's best. So often living in the shadow of some of the bigger names around him. But today is Martin Ponsaloma's day as he punches the air. He finishes with a time of 31 minutes, 11.9 seconds to claim a sweet, sweet gold medal. Sturla Home Lagride will ski in second. It's another medal at these Winter Olympic Games for Sturla Home Lagride. And Emilian Jacqueline points to his earring, points to the sky, presumably his tribute to Marco Pantani. He entertained us, Emilian Jacqueline, but unfortunately, I was going to say it's unfortunate. I mean, he's got a bronze medal, but it's when you go from the gold to the bronze, it must be a bit brutal. But another medal for Emilian Jacqueline. What a race. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. And, you know, the benefit of some early misses to our leading group to start us off just meant we got set up for that drama at the end. And it's drama, it's heartbreak, it's elation. Emilian Jacqueline there, to his credit, at the finish line, seems pretty bloody happy with his bronze medal, and so he should, and he's achieved his goal that he set out before the Winter Olympics. I remember reading an article talking about the earring in his left ear as that salute to Italian cyclist Marco Pantani, who was a renowned entertainer, particularly on the mountain stages. Emilian Jacqueline, he entertained us. He takes bronze for his efforts. It's a silver for Sturla Home Lagride, which seems fitting for one of the most consistent athletes on the circuit. But there is no denying Swedish gold here for Martin Ponsaloma. Absolutely brilliant performance for him. I didn't see that final time split, but it looked like about 20 odd seconds from Ponsaloma back to Sturla Home Lagride. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. As we see Philip Horn of Germany ski in. Sebastian Samuelsson of Sweden will follow him not too far off. So, yeah, that is the men's pursuit, the 12.5 kilometer men's pursuit at this Winter Olympics. Gold for Sweden and Martin Ponsaloma. Brilliant for him. Silver for Sturla Home Lagride of Norway, and a bronze for France's Emilian Jacqueline. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I gave it a crack. I've been grumbling so much about the coverage here down under of the biathlon, and I'm going to guess it's because there aren't too many Australian biathletes in the field, that maybe it doesn't get the same, I don't know, marketing or financing pop when it comes to the coverage as some of the other sports. But come on, we've got to represent for Darcy Morton, our girl Darcy Morton, in the women's circuit. But yeah, look, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you will tune in again. I might try and do this for the women's pursuit as well, if it's at a time that agrees with my bedtime. This one worked out well. 9 p.m. suited me just fine. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. If you liked it, would love for you to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I do a regular podcast currently covering Tour de la Provence in the cycling. I'm covering every few days. I'm doing a recap of the Winter Olympics biathlon events. I sort of let a few stack up and then I recap them all in one fell swoop. So yeah, would very much appreciate you following along on the JBSE. It would mean the world to me. I'm going to go rest my voice. Have a good night, guys. Cheers.